Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And tonight, buy assets when blood is in the streets. You have to do something in order to not go down with the ship. And buying assets creates opportunities for you, but you have to be looking. And welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday Night Live Stream. Stop struggling now, gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for being here. Please share the videos because you never know who's out here looking for information. And make sure when you come into the SSN Nation, make sure you smash that like button. Also, and if you like what we're talking about, please subscribe to the channel, as I've mentioned already twice. So let's get into it tonight because we have certain things that we need to talk about first because of the state of affairs. America is in uproar, talking about Venezuela, the kidnapping, talking about bombing Iran. Destabilizing the world is not a good thing for anybody. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure you're ahead of the game. First things first, because you know Matthew Lesko, the late night guy that sold grants for help with books for the last 50 years, he's still at it. So, what's his key for helping American citizens? Put in your zip code, findhelp.org. That's the first thing first. That's if you need some help. There's all kind of help. It could be simply rent payment, a little help with down payment for a home. It could be job training. You don't have anyone to care for your elderly and loved ones and may need some sort of caregiver help. That's there. You need a bus pass. Simple things that can help people with life. Medical, certain things, again, depending on what city and state you live in, there's more opportunities if you're in a bigger city, and in certain states. But the thing is, you put in your zip code, see what's in your area that can potentially help you. And oftentimes there's quite a bit of help that American citizens can get at little, free, to no charge. All right. Just keep that in mind. All right. First things first. Now that we're going to have an uproar over crypto, I should mention straight out the bag. There's two things I'm going to talk about. And while I'm doing this, I need to go in the background while I'm doing this. So don't mind me too much. Just make sure the chat room is open. If you have anything to say, it's always open. So you can ask your questions or give some help to others because we just now have started. And obviously, we're trying to help people. That is Stop Struggling Now. That's what we're trying to do. So, first things first, findhelp.org. If you have mental problems, the next thing to do, 211.org. That's also on findhelp.org as well. All right. So, just letting you guys know this, that's not a problem. Okay. Live chat replay. In case you watch this on replay and you want to find the links in the chat room, you need to, on mobile, click the comment, the first comment, and then swipe left. That's how simple this is. All right. So then that way you can see the links because I am going to put findhelp.org here. And I'm going to do a few other things in the chat room while we're live because I want people to have this information so they can act as we speak. All right. So there it is in the chat room for thefinehelp.org, in the chat room for 211.org in case you need mental health or you know someone that does need mental health help. All right. So just make sure. Now, let's get into some other things because it's courtesy of Mr. Dividend. That's right. One way to buy assets is buy stocks. And if you buy dividend stocks, then you can get a return on your investment every week, every month, or every 3 months, or every semi-annually, or every year. Different corporations dispense dividends at a certain time. Now, JPQ, I like that because we're hovering around 10%, and it's a JP Morgan ETF. So that's why I like that one. All right. Now, real estate investment trust, I like those whenever the government is trying to lower the interest rate because these guys, they own just what it says, real estate investment trust. It could be apartments, it could be commercials. It's all depends. And they will refinance their debt to the lower rate. So that creates more profit, which they dispense to the dividend holders. Real estate investment trusts, high risk, high rewards. You want 15%, 16, 17% ARR. You want stay in that range, ORC. You want to do some more high risk, PSEC. That's P as in Paul, S as in Sam, E as in Eric, C as in Charles, PSEC. You want some more that's around 13%, OKAGNC. You want some other high risk, IVR. But again, those are high risk. But are they high risk when they're trying to reduce the interest rate? That's the Federal Reserve. They should be reducing the interest rate T minus 30 days. So I will say I am against that because inflation is rising or is at the same level it was 2 year or a year ago. And actually it's above a year ago level. So again, a year ago they were still talking about increasing the rate. Now they're talking about decreasing. Not good for us. That causes inflation. All right. Now, CMOS, ladies and gentlemen, a recall in case. Again, we got to make sure you guys, health is wealth. You have to understand this. If you're not healthy, do you understand how much it costs to go get health care in America? All right. Always touted as one of the richest countries in the world, but there's other countries that are not touted as the richest countries in the world, and they have universal health care for their citizens. America would rather spend trillions of dollars creating a war machine around the world. And now it's an implosion because now people are starting to think they should be against, our allies are starting to think they might have to be against the United States. This is with regard to Greenland. This is with regard to Venezuela because other countries also have corporations and companies in Venezuela. Then we're talking about Iran. We already have unresolved conflicts such as the Gaza genocide, and we also have conflicts such as Ukraine, the Russian genocide that they're doing to Ukraine. So again, the world is getting more and more in flux. That means there's blood in the streets. That also means when some president of the United States says we may bomb Iran, the stock market reacts, of course, somewhat like, wait, what are we doing? Because again, that is not good. That's destabilizing an area. And that is not a very good plan. Now, let's get into the CMOS recall sparks nationwide warnings to customers. I always put the link in so you guys can go check this out. Because once again, this is very, very dangerous. What's happening? Millions of Americans experience food sensitivities or food allergies every year. Recall impacts all flavors, sizes, and batch numbers of true food. Man, this sounds like good stuff, but now 16-ounce glass jars that were manufactured before January 9th, 2026. The product was sold nationwide through select retailers and via website. That is not good. The alert list recalled flavors and corresponding UPC numbers for customers to cross reference, and you better go get your money back from the store. So, again, these are the type of things. Blood is in the streets. When you have your health at risk over and over and over, every day there are recalls. You have a government that says they want to deregulate the FDA, they want to deregulate the USDA, they don't want inspectors to go around. This is the result of what is going to continue to happen, putting you, your family, and loved ones and friends at risk. You have to actually be vigilant about your food source. You might want to start thinking about maybe grow your own the way food costs now. Seeds cost a lot less. Just saying. You can go get a box. And yes, you can put some soil in there for what you are going to grow. That means you are self sustainable. Independence is great. All right. So let's see. Anybody else in the house tonight? Let me see what you got going on. Post retirement travel is here. Mr. Worldwide 2, an avid investor, and real estate, and put in his work with Military Wise, and second time with another job. Talk about he did the damn thing. Now he's Mr. Worldwide. And welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. And he brings his tagline this evening. Hello, all. Let's do this. That's what we do here. We try to help you. He tries to help you. Again, watch for the great advice. You never know who it's going to come from. Oh, by the way, I should, because I know post retirement travel. I already know he's going to say VOOSPYQQQSCHD again. I know he's going to say those, so I might as well just say it in advance. Those are stock symbols, ladies and gentlemen, that you can put your money into and earn some returns over the year, especially when we have a year such as now, where the United States government and the Federal Reserve are purposely doing what they always do. Make sure corporation stock prices increase so the rest of the world wants to buy them, along with United States citizens and other citizens from around the world. That's why it's the number one stock market on the planet, and people believe in the United States of America until they don't. And that's why gold and silver going to all-time record highs. And oh, by the way, on the Asian markets, silver went over $100. The American market said, not so fast. We're going to stay in the upper 80s to 90, but we're not going to 100. You guys are starting to jump the gun. Did we not talk about this on Monday? Who here does not understand the dynamics? I've been throwing it down for the last 5-6 years, saying inflation numbers are a lie. They're nowhere near what the United States government reports. All right. So it was just a matter of time before assets start going into inflation mode, such as store of wealth. That is gold, silver, precious metals. We talked about this on Monday. And by the way, I want to give some love and some thanks to whoever hijacked the views. All right. I already know, because the video, the live stream we did on Monday is the first live stream ever that in one day had 1,000 views. This has never happened before. So somebody hijacked and did some funny business, because it's not me. And I know there's no way we're going to have over 1,000 views in 24 hours. That's uncharacteristic. Now, it'd be awfully nice if somebody let off the lever a little bit and said, oh, we can be out there, but I'm not foolish enough to believe that. I think somebody helped. So I appreciate your help. So I just want to say, whoever it was, thank you, but you don't have to do that. All right. Now, let's get down to business. The CMOS. Here it is. And again, this is a voluntary as instruction, no credit check, no qualifying, no. You need something that is not on the United States financial system. Yes, you're going to have a stock, a brokerage account in the US. It's regulated. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the point is, you need to minimize your exposure to the United States grubby little hands, because when blood goes in the streets, when you are causing conflicts and having to help conflict areas like sending money over to Israel, that is inflationary because we don't have the money to send to them, but we are. When we send them money to Ukraine, which are actually equipment and maybe a little money, but again, transportation and all that cost millions of dollars. Once again, who's going to pay for it? Taxpayers. The company, the country that's broke, they can't pay that, so they have to print more money. So that's inflationary on all costs. If you guys missed the post, go check it out on YouTube under our post for SS Nation. Stop struggling now. You will see today all the inflationary things that I actually put out there so everybody understands. Yes, I'm coming out the closet, breaking out some stuff. Maybe I'm going to start writing an article for you guys on some financial news networks articles. So you guys will be like, wait, this guy's been here for 5-6 years. We didn't know he was doing all this crazy stuff. That's right. Surprise. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my. Here we go. Post retirement travel says another beautiful day at the stock market. Backed up the truck again. I wonder why he backed up the truck. Did he see blood in the streets today? I believe so. Don't be afraid. Get in. He's exactly right. Though key words are this on this hoodie. Nobody is coming to save you. You have to be the person that saves yourself. In other words, let me put it in a different perspective. You're drowning in a sea of debt. That's the United States sea of debt. And nobody has a lifeline except you. You better find that lifeline, ladies and gentlemen, real quick. Because after another year of spending a couple of $1 trillion and printing about another $2 trillion, inflation is going to get dicey. And we don't know what's going to happen, but we know one thing. Inflation means assets rise. That's what it means. That means the Federal Reserve reduces interest rates. And then they manipulate the housing market, because where else can you get trillions of dollars worth of paper? Stock market, housing market. This is why they always do it. Because if you can reduce rates artificially or not, then therefore more people will buy. And you don't have to do the numbers, because I'm about to do the numbers for you. But I have one more thing for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have another recall. Thanks to Brian P. Modern Warrior. You got it. Oh, and by the way, how can I forget? Post retirement travel has that lovely, beautiful icon next to his name, which means he's a member of the channel. So I humbly appreciate your support. Thank you, post retirement travel, over all these years. And more significantly, you helping people as well by giving your advice and information. So that is awesome. So once again, let's get into it because we have another one. Modern Warrior recalls Modern Warrior Ready dietary supplement due to undeclared 1,4-DMAA, as well as tentapin, I don't know, which has not been approved for supplement use by the. Oh no. What? What? No. Somebody, no. January 9th, 2026. Unapproved new drug found to contain undeclared. Now it says a 1,4 dash DMAA and aniracetam and tianeptine. Wow. Modern Warrior, ladies and gentlemen. I am not familiar with this product nor any of these products. What? Tianeptine can cause life-threatening events, including suicidal ideation or behavior in children, adolescents, and adults aged 25 years. And what? How do they even? What? My goodness, ladies and gentlemen. This is what's out here on the market, unregulated environment. The FDA is sitting there like, this is insane. By the way, just so you guys understand something, when somebody puts a product out, now you can put a product out because you can sell on platforms. So it doesn't go to a store. A store would be like, okay, we need to see the paperwork, FDA approved and all that clearance. But when you start allowing people to buy at flea markets and the Thursday night street fairs and online websites that has nothing to do going through government clearances, all of a sudden you can have this on the market hurting people. This is unbelievable. And you know what's even worse? Because look at the product description, says dietary supplement capsules marketed for metabolism boosting, improving brain function, and reducing cravings. So this covers a lot of things when people are like, I'm trying to lose weight, when people are like, well, my brain needs to improve. And it's all like, wait, no, this doesn't even do nothing about that because this is not what does metabolism boosting. Because again, this 1,4 DMAA can elevate blood pressure and could lead to cardiovascular problems, including heart attacks. Holy smokes. So I got suicidal ingredient. I have blood pressure and possible heart attack and shortness of breath with this DMAA thing. That's 2 ingredients. And that third ingredient, which was, what was that third one? Aniracetam. What is that? Never heard of it. They don't say. But those 2 are bad enough. Holy smokes, that outweighs any positives. And again, there's nothing in here that does anything for your brain. That's not happening. And there's nothing in here for reducing cravings other than, I don't know what that other ingredient is, aniracetam. Again, in fact, let me put this in the chat room as well so people can go. Here's the ingredients that's in this drug. And let me put this in the chat room, the link, in case I haven't already. But this is outrageous. This is strictly outrageous. Okay, another beautiful day at the stock market has to be reiterated because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're missing out on this free money, this is crazy. Again, I have been talking about stock market trading, but this is stock market investing. And you can use ETFs. So I gave you some ETFs, right? The VOO, the VOOG, VTI, VGT. That's Vanguard groups, right? We gave you JEPQ because that's JP Morgan ETF and gives about 10% to 10.5% annual return. So this is where you want to be, right? You want some returns, you want some appreciation. Well, if you want some appreciation, then you're backing up the truck. And what are you doing? You're doing NVIDIA, you're doing AMD, you're doing Microsoft, Facebook, Oracle. That's who you're doing. You're doing Tesla, you're doing Amazon. You're going to go on and on. You're going to do those top companies because they are preferred customers of the United States government, aka taxpayers. Subsidies they do receive. So they have government contracts. So they get to keep ahead of the game because now they're just going to buy back their shares of stock. Their stock prices are going to increase because the good times are going to roll temporarily. All right. Just keep that in mind. So while it's rolling temporarily, you need some of that disposable income. But some people watching this is going to say the inevitable. They're going to go, Eric, I'm living paycheck to paycheck during the month. I don't have that much money left. And so I will say what post-retirement travel says. Instead of buying that cup of Starbucks coffee, you need to be spending some of that Starbucks coffee on some stocks because you can buy partial stocks. Even though Tesla could be $450 a share, you can go spend $10 and buy it. And where do you go for that? In case you're new here and don't know, you just go to Robinhood, Webull, or Moomoo. I'll have a link down below in the chat room for you. All right. All three, you get free shares of stock, one free share of stock from Robinhood. You get you can get 5 partial shares of stock from Webull, and you can get 3 to 5 shares of stock from Moomoo. Moomoo and Webull, they require you to make a deposit of $100 before they will give you your free shares of stock. All right. And speak of the devil with the FDA recalls, Mr. Brian P. is here, otherwise known as Mr. Dividend. Welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. Another investors in the house. The stock market, ladies and gentlemen. So very happy day, Eric. Thank you. Hope all is well with you. Yes, it is. It's going well with you and your family. It's going okay. Happy day, SSN family. Smash that like button. I love it. Give it a 1 piece, ladies and gentlemen. I'd greatly appreciate that. That would be of great help. All right. Now, we are making money in here. That's what we do, ladies and gentlemen. We try to help you make money, and thanks to Brian P, make sure that your health is not in bad disarray. And if that's not enough, ladies and gentlemen, do you understand that there are side effects almost for every drug you take? In fact, every drug you take, we call them black box. The reason why it's a black box is because you don't know what's in it. You can't see because you're not looking. So they tell you one thing, like this other drug that came out with the DMAA and all these other things, and they're giving you this nice metabolism can speed up so you can lose weight, your brain functions a lot better, and all this nonsense. Meanwhile, killing you softly because you didn't look at the black box, the side effects. You're not looking it up. Any drugs that come from pharmaceuticals, they are not trying to cure you. You are a customer as long as they can make sure you're a customer. They will kill you just to keep you as a customer for 20 years. And by the way, in case you don't understand and you live in America and you think America is number one on everything, you are correct. Number one in killings, number one in the largest prison population. You are correct. They are not number one in healthcare, not number one in education. No, ladies and gentlemen. And we take in 1,000 banned food substances in our food supply that other countries do not allow in their food supply. So if you don't understand what is happening, oh my, the rug is being pulled about healthcare coverage under insurance. It's only going to cost more as you get older. It doesn't cost less. So therefore, you need to take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, it's going to be game over a different way, health wise. And you could be like my family member who's in a Medicare situation and being taken care of by people who may not be the best. Meaning, if you were home and taking care of your loved one, you would be more attentive, you would hope. Meanwhile, when you go to these facilities, you're at the whims. The facilities are running. Get this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you something. If you had 20 rooms, 20 rooms with somebody sleeping in there that needed some care, on your shift, that's an 8-hour shift. What if you found out that all 20 rooms has one person to tend to everybody in all 20 rooms? The nurse. Then you have a CNA. All right. Just think, how well can you care for somebody if you have 20 rooms and you need to spend 5 minutes in all 20 rooms, at least on average? Now, remember, everybody has different situations. Some people are going to have lunch. Some people can't have lunch because they have to feed a different way proteins, nutrients into their body. Maybe they're hooked up through the blood. Maybe they're hooked up through a tube and other things. So they can't be in there 5 minutes. They might have to be in there 15 minutes. Some people can't move at all. They're in a wheelchair. You have to get them up. That you start seeing the problem. So when there's a situation down the hall with one person or two, but yet they still have to attend to another, the numbers don't lie. You cannot keep up with that. That is not sustainable, and you're not going to get the best care. Just think about it, okay? Now, do I have your attention on why you can't keep following down this path? Patients file lawsuits in Marion County alleging drug companies down GLP-1 side effects. Dozens of complaints filed against Indianapolis-based. Have you heard of Eli Lilly? Novo Nordisk? Yes, Danish maker of Ozempic. You've heard of Ozempic, right? Oh yeah, there's going to be a recall for that too. Chances are is the recall for it. Ozempic, Wegovy, Wegovy, Zepbound, and Monjaro. All of those are in the Ozempic line. Oh my! This is the old rave where people were actually injecting themselves with this GLP-1 used to treat diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and other health conditions. The Indiana native is one of a millions of Americans taking GLP-1s, a class medication. I've never had any side effects, says the lady. Sue takes Ozempic for diabetes, not for weight loss. Oh my. Oh no. An associate professor at Butler University said gastrointestinal side effects are common among you. Oh my. Okay, that's your stomach, ladies and gentlemen. All right. That's what gastrointestinal means. All right. Side effects, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. That's fairly typical for medications that work like this. Oh my. They even say it here down. He also points GLP-1 drugs have a black box warning for thyroid tumors. Oh no, that is cancer, ladies and gentlemen. Tumors are cancer. The drugs have been found to you can see there's going to be more blood in the streets. And this should also spell out there's some things that you might want to invest in. Should you invest in the healthcare industry in some way, some capacity? Because you know more and more people are going to get sick. It's built into our system. We don't have any regulation in reality. We have names such as FDA, but are they really checking things? Every day you can find a recall. Guess what? Brian P. Mr. Dividend does. Every day there's a recall. This is what we've been talking about well before now, but this is why there's things that you needed to do. And one of them is you had to eat healthier. I'll just say it right now. This is a short list. Stop the carbs, stop the sugar. Look on every pack. I wish I had something in here. Well, I don't take too many sugar items, but nonetheless, carbs are sugar. Okay? It's that simple. Do I have any? I'll just use this right here. What is this? Never been used. It's a eucalyptus menthol. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. This is a pack of sugar. We're pretending. So again, when you look on the back of boxes and it says there are 15 grams of sugar, that means for the one serving. So now you're thinking the whole box or the whole drink. No, it's one serving. Whatever. So you look on the back and it says, oh, a serving is 4 ounces. 15 grams of sugar in 4 ounces of what you're drinking. So if you say, well, I'm thirsty, let me get another, that means you have 30 grams of sugar. 30 of these packs is in your 4-ounce drink. Now, you also look and you go, well, why does this thing say 26 grams of carbs in your body? Now you just added 26 packs of sugar. Now you have 41 packs of sugar in your body. And you know what happens when your body gets a lot of sugar? Some people tremble. Some people are hyped. And you know what happens after you've messed up your glucose level? Because your glucose and your body now has to flush it because now you have way too much sugar in there. And you know how you get diabetes is because your body can't produce insulin because you overloaded it too many times because you didn't care. But see, America doesn't tell people about that. And you want to know the side effects? There's many. Cancer all over your body throughout because your blood is the carrier on your system, your human body, blood. So now sugar is in your blood, carrying it to guess what? All your organs. So when somebody says, I have cancer in this area, that area, it's because over years you are sending sugar to your organs, and that's where your organs cannot flush it out. And then you have parasites and tumors show up in the form of cancer. Hopefully, that's a simple explanation as I can get, but you can do something about it because I just now gave you the information that you can say, oh my, I can't eat none of these honey nuts and oats. This looks like 30, 40 grams of sugar in this thing every bowl. And I get 2 bowls a day. Right. You better hope your insulin can kick in and keep your glucose levels down. Because if it boosts to 150, which it will, you need it to come back down quickly. And that's what your body regulates. But you keep doing that, keep drinking them sodas, keep not caring and getting stuff. Raisin Bran, by the way, sugar and carbs, 1 bowl, 51 grams of sugar. 51. Raisin Bran. Just so you guys know. Oh, and by the way, the rice checks, the corn checks, All that, oh yeah, you don't escape. It's also like 30 to 40 grams when you add sugar and carbs. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, they're killing you softly out here. I'm glad we talked about this recall a little bit more, but you guys got to understand. By the way, sugar in your blood, leukemia, sugar on your brain, dementia, and everything that's related to dementia because it goes through your blood brain barrier and it can get into your brain, and that causes your body functions to slow down in your mind. Hopefully that helps. Okay. And one last thing, and then I'll get off the health kick. You know, when you have uh, deodorant and you either have spray or you put a like a roll on and all this stuff, they use aluminum. All right. Aluminum. Do you know what happens when you have aluminum in your system? And by the way, underneath your arms, there's nodes right here on your, it goes through your skin, hits your nodes. Your nodes is carriers also. So you do that enough for a few years, your body starts absorbing the aluminum. Guess what that affects? Your mind. All right. We are making money in here and we're doing health, SSN lifestyle style. All right. We're doing the health thing too. DIM pals, I'm glad you're back for 2026. And welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream. Another investor's here. He's in the house. He does stock market trading, stock market investing, and he brings a tagline. Good evening, SSN fam. Smash that like button. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. Yes, it went up 5 grand to 6 grand today. Did you guys see that? You could have won several ways if you would have had a little bit of Bitcoin, as we talked about on Monday, a little bit of gold, as we talked about on Monday, a little bit of silver, as we talked about on Monday. It has increased since Monday. You didn't have to do anything, just sit there. We know what's going to happen with crypto. You know why crypto is going to increase? Because ETFs are coming out, coins are coming out, all kind of stuff is coming out, and therefore the governments around the world are buying it as well. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, the number one and number two, you should be holding a little bit of those. So that's why you need to. And if you do stock market trading, then yes, there was a boom today. It went from last night, it was 86 or 87. Then it's about 96 or 97 right now. You would have had an opportunity if you do stock market trading. And by the way, DIM pals, I wanted to talk with you about this stock market trading that you have mentioned before. One thing that we never talked about, I was hoping you would come on again so I can ask you, how do you do stock market trading? Are you doing options? Are you doing the wheel strategy type option plays? I don't know how options work. Are you actually trading individual stocks? Are you trading gold and silver? What forex? Are we talking about metals? Are we talking about the indexes like US 30 or NASDAQ or QQQ, SPY? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, those are some ETFs you might want. SPY, QQQ, as I mentioned already. Those are, post-retirement travel's favorites. But let me know, please. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. It's starting to move. He's exactly right. We know it's going to move. That's why when it was sitting at 80 to 85, people, you should have been buying. Even if it dropped below there, you need a little bit. You need your dollar cost average to be in the 95 and under. If you would have been buying, you should have been at 80, 85, 86 and under, because this will go over 100,000. It will go back to 126. It will go back to one. Well, it never went to 130, but it's going to go to 130, 140. It's a mathematical equation. This is why the there's corporations, there's people that they just don't know how long it's going to take. They can guess. So if you want to know what the guess is, where we're starting to talk about where it could be $250,000 per coin, I know it sounds crazy, but they're talking, it could be 4 years on a 4 year cycle. 8 years, it could be at a mill. That's right. It's mathematical. I love math. All right. Hopefully that helps, ladies and gentlemen. But DIM pals, I want to hear from you. What type of trading are you doing? Maybe we can help some people out here because trading is all over the map again. Because since I've last seen you, oh my, I get inundated now, inundated from all kind of. It's crazy. A lot of too many people are selling. I have a RSI indicator that's the winner. I have my markups, that's a winner. I use an order book, that's my winner. Oh, I do this indicators and that indicators. I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Everybody has different ways to trade, but still we have this problem. 90 to 95% of people that start off are losing money. There's a reason. It ain't that easy, because there's applied pressure. Whenever somebody says, whenever you give your money out, just like if you are sitting there gambling, there's a level of expectation and anxiety. Because do you really want to lose your money? No. Are you playing for fun? Well, not if you're intentionally trying to trade to make money. You're not playing for fun. So gambling is not what you should be doing, playing for fun. So therefore, now people get a little more anxiety because they say, man, I don't want to lose thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars. So they play and trade fearful, because that's just an emotional thing. If you put your money into something and you don't want to lose, and you are like scared, so to speak, a little, I don't know how else to say it, but you have the anxiety of losing in your back of your mind going, well, I think this is what's going to happen. But now I lost. But back with it. That's an asset. Any skill set that you have can be used as an asset. You can't buy what you have in your head. So therefore, you have to figure out if you want to be in that stock market game. But the other game that I was talking about before is that, yeah, I didn't get that anacetamine. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. I got to go look at something. I got to find out what this is. Anacetamine, right? Anaracet. Yeah, that's, I don't know what that is. Never seen that before. Again, I don't take any drugs, so I've never heard of this stuff. Okay, listen to this. A fat soluble nootropic or cognitive enhancer. So this is what they're trying to do from a racetam family. Now, I've seen that before on people's with that racetam family name. Memory, attention. Maybe that's if somebody has dementia. Brain disorders or dementia. So that's what they put in here. Working by modulating glutamate receptors, which nobody's going to know anything about this, and increasing dopamine and serotonin. Well, okay, but with potential benefits seen in animal studies. Okay, first of all, uh, I shouldn't. This is like a medical stuff. If you're going to start doing dopamine and serotonin, your body also has to regulate this. So dopamine is like when you're in love, you kiss somebody, chocolate, dark chocolate, by the way, not milk chocolate, dark chocolates. That's what you want. Um, they're crucial neurotransmitters that balance each other, with dopamine motivating action for rewards and serotonin helping us wait for bigger payoffs. Feeling enhances link imbalances linked to depression, ADHD, Parkinson's, and gut issues, but they also work together in complex ways. Um, some people, this is a good thing, but some people have a problem with dopamine. Um, and serotonin, if you have low levels, just so you guys understand, that can cause depression. So they're playing around in your system And that's why when they said the black box was people wanted to commit suicide and all this stuff, is you're starting to mess around with some things that your body regulates and releases. So again, very, very careful about that. Well, that's why it's on the recall list. Let's get real. All right. So again, your health is your wealth, ladies and gentlemen. You vegan? No, man, not vegan at all. No, don't do vegan, man. MDA0214, welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday Night Live Stream. Very happy to see you here once again as well. Another investors in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Real estate, stock market, options, and that other thing that he was covered calls. I mean, it's on and on. The guy has skills. All right, let's go. I hear you, but natural deodorant is worthless. All right, I got something for you. Oh, you mean, right, right, right. Here's the funny part. You are absolutely correct. Normally, when you try to use natural deodorant, it does not stop the odor that you give off. That's exactly right. So it ultimately ends up being like, well, why even put it on? Right. Okay. Well, I'll give you guys a little something to consider. Try to find the crystal. All right. It's a roll on, usually it's a crystal like little stick. You can find it. That's quite frankly what I use. And so what starts happening is the reason why you smell, your odor comes from your body and stuff that you eat, right? It gives, that's what your body's emitting. So once you start eating a little cleaner, then your odors start changing a little bit, maybe not even as pungent as it used to be. You're still going to have odor of some sort, but it's minimized when you change your diets. One thing. And the second thing is the crystal. You won't believe this, ladies and gentlemen. There's a thing. I'm looking it up because I've never even really talked about it. So I just want to. There is a thing. So use the crystal. I wish I could. I don't know the name of it. This is what I use anyhow. Um, the crystal deodorant. You can get it at Amazon. Um, and it does it. And again, remember, you're putting things near your nodes that carries in your blood system, goes throughout your system. Um, so when you go in and they have those crystals in a room. I'm going to use the room one first, right? I don't know if any of you have went to those, but the crystal actually, like, you can cut them on in your house, and that's for relaxation. All right, reduces stress and all that stuff. Okay, a lot of stuff actually. It makes it calm. It actually is a thing. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's for a normal crystal. Now, I'm gonna have to. There's a reason I'm using crystal deodorant. Um, Check this out. I'll have to remember this because I didn't want to talk about it, but since we're here, um, crystal mineral deodorant stick is at Walgreens, $7.50. Target, $6.99. Da, 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 da. Okay. Oh, here's what I wanted to do, right? Here. But I'm not vegan, by the way. We'll get into it. No, the reason why vegan, you, you can't eat plants, uh, is the thing. Your body gets nutrients from plants, but there's things that you have to eat in order to get the protein that your body's going to need. All right. So, no aluminum, obviously. No parabens, obviously. No stains. There's nothing, all right, that hurts your body, just so you know. That's one of the first things. Now, there are people that will say, well, there's going to be side effects. Yeah, there could be. But, okay, free of aluminum, parabens, phthalates, sulfates, artificial fragrances, supporting natural body functions. It's that simple. There's nothing more. And it works a little bit, right? Help kills bacteria that cause underarm odor. All right. So those are the first things right there. But it's better than worthless. It's not worthless. It actually works, but it's not like a shield. It doesn't operate like deodorant. It doesn't put a coat on and blocks your smell and keeps it inside your system and then kills you from the inside out. It just actually helps your body overall, and it actually stops you from perspiring an odor. But again, it's only going to last only for so long. I don't even think it'll last. But again, I don't do too much stuff, but I don't even think it'll last. It definitely doesn't last 24 hours. It doesn't last like 12. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to be on low sweat day, then I would suggest you get this. And then you cut off all those things that are in normal deodorants, is all I can tell you. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's it. DIM Pals. Here we go. I currently trade the SPY every day. And when I build up money over there, then I'll buy my favorite stocks that are at a discounted price. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. S&P 500. Okay. All right. I like it. Let's see what happened today. Okay. Very simple investment strategy. Take the profits, invest in your favorite stocks. Love it. I don't see a problem. As Post Retirement Travel says, SPY QQQ sell off on surprising inflation. Yeah, it's not surprising. So, in case you're new here, you can make this is why, if you stay tuned to the stock market, you can understand there's going to be opportunities simply because they're going like today, surprising inflation. How's it surprising? When you know we don't have any money and we have to print money in order to do anything. We want to send military overseas. They need money. We're broke. We're $40 trillion in deficit. So you have to print money, which means they've already printed it. Adding money to a money supply increases inflation. So now you have to print it. And then how are you printing it? So people are buying treasuries, bonds. Now you owe somebody 4.1% for what you just printed. And who pays for it? Taxpayers. That's why they don't care. And they don't care there's inflation because they are in the top 1 to 5 percentile range who are doing it because they have millions of dollars, tens of millions. So the inflation doesn't hurt them, but it hurts the bottom 80% of the population. So again, there is no surprise. This is why there's a year, 11 months, and 2 weeks that you have to get yourself together. Set credit score 775. Buy as many assets before they start rising. Because remember, they haven't started cutting the Federal Reserve rate yet. But in the background now, they are making their own interest-only loans to each other, making sure the banks are still liquid overnight or for the week. They're making those interior loans, okay? But what they're really waiting for is for when the Federal Reserve and everybody does their manipulation with the housing market and the interest rate. That's their goal. Because once they're able to do that, now all of a sudden, all that paper that they are holding, they get to refinance it at a lower rate. And then they get to tell somebody, hey, I own $100 million worth of this paper that somebody's going to pay over the next 20 years, 25 years. Who will give me $50 million? And somebody will, because that $100 million is worth 200. Well, about $150 to $175 because of the interest that people are going to pay. Or for the defaults where the home price is up an extra 40 to 50 to 100%. And that's even a better deal because they get to realize the gain immediately or within the first 2 or 3 years that they're holding some of this paper. They don't mind if 1,000 people default. The home prices went up. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen? This is what's going down out here. So inflation is no surprise. It's double digits. Think 15 to 20%. That's all you have to think of. Everything else is smoke and mirrors. All right. I don't really talk about it too much. I've talked about inflation before, but I've never given just think in your brain, just think 15%. This is why when people start telling me about real estate investing, I say, okay, that's very nice. But yes, your commercial real estate is much more valuable because that gets to go up based on how much you get to charge somebody. And since inflation keeps rising, you get to charge people more each year if you wanted to. You get to say, well, you paid $1,500 last year. I'm going to raise it to $1,575 or $1,550. But that $1,550 causes your price value to be higher. So you don't lose. Now, the housing market is different entirely. The house, which people will consider an asset, again, it's going to be an asset when the interest rate goes down to, I anticipate 4.25 sometime in this next 7-8 months. And so when that occurs, people will start buying houses, overpaying. So now it turns into what people call an asset only because for short term, you need to get in, sell, and go on about your business. Right? If a house goes from 425,000 up to 650, and you can make $200,000, and now all of a sudden you start thinking and saying, well, wait a minute, I have $200,000. Maybe can I get 10% so I can actually make $1,700 a month by just taking that money? And so then it starts being a numbers game. Now things are going to be way out of whack though. Before, let's just go 15 years ago, you could rent a home for $1,700, right? So you would be like, yeah, I got my money sitting there. I'm making dividend money. I'm making the profits from that. That's paying for it, whatever your investment is. Or you can have bought an apartment complex, whatever, gave you options. That's how people build wealth. So you're going to have that opportunity again. And that's why most people in America, the average time that they live in a home, you will not believe this, is 3.9 years. That's crazy. But there's a reason for that, right? So again, let's get into it some more. Buy assets that make sense. Some people say things don't make sense because we talked about gold and silver on Monday. Now, some people said, well, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. But it makes sense when you know gold and silver is going to keep rising. The rest of the world is saying we're not going to invest that much in the US anymore. We're going to go buy gold and silver, especially when it's volatile because of all this stuff going on in the world and threats. And so therefore it's going to pop up. And that's what's happening. It rose up, both rose. Well, it didn't break its record though. Gold didn't break its record, I don't believe. Silver did. And silver, again, is thousands of dollars behind its true value, just so everybody understands. All right, let's keep it moving. Again, thank you so much, DIM pals. And are you still doing your trading with the YieldMax ETFs? That's what you were saying. You were doing some sort of trading with them. So that was very interesting because we know what happens Wednesday night usually because dividends are coming out Friday. People try to scalp, so to speak. They'll buy the stock today before late night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Then they get their dividends on Friday, but then they sell it either after hours or sell it tomorrow. So that starts going down. So there are opportunities when you do that. So I thought that was very, very interesting as well. Now, everybody, smash that like button. We're 1 hour in. Please please share the videos so the YouTube gods know that you're in the house as well. And if you like what we're talking about, please subscribe to the channel, click the all notification bell. Everybody on podcasts, hit the check box, the heart, the square, the, what do you call the one where there's another one on Sirius? Favorites. Favorite podcast. That's right, because this year is your buying asset year. You cannot sit on the sidelines, ladies and gentlemen, and watch the parade go by, because you're going to be left behind. And what do I mean by left behind? You remember what happened in 2021 when there was a COVID scenario. And do you realize how much home prices went up? 20%, 2 years in a row. This is what's happening with prices right now across the board. There's always outliers where something's going down, but for the most part, everything you need is like in this 15 to 20% increase in price every year. You cannot sustain, that's not sustainable. That's why I always said America's a third world country. You just don't know it yet because we have credit. Again, this is very, very dangerous. And you're going to get left behind if you are not investing by any means necessary. You need to get your debt down. Okay. Here we go. I just think stocks easily outpace gold, and in a down market is easily to hedge with options and dividends. Yes, MDA0214. See, there's a difference with you and me and other people. Most people don't actually trade stocks. Most people don't do, and they don't even have dividends. So they just know I have my 401k sitting there. And then when the market goes down, their 401k goes down. They have no parachute because they can't say, oh, let me have it. I know what to do. They don't get that option, right? So that is the difference. And keep in mind, the top 10% own 93% of the stock market. So regardless how many people actually are individually handling their stock portfolio, that's where the problem comes in. So yes, you are correct though about the gold silver, but there is another key factor. Gold and silver and precious metals are not based on stocks, because stocks is paper. It's thin air. All right. Gold and silver have their values because it's not thin air. So in other words, no matter where you are in the world, if you have gold, silver, we'll just stick with those two, or any other precious metal, if you have those, you can go look and go, oh, so the price of gold today is, I don't know what it is. I think it's, what was it? 46.26 or something like this, somewhere in that ballpark, but 46.30. Well, now I can go anywhere in the world and say, I need some, I want to sell a couple of ounces. Okay. Anywhere. And they'll say, well, we can't give you 46.30, but we're going to give you 4,600 or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is the stock now is different because you have to have a brokerage account. You can't just sell your stock, right? So that's why countries are buying gold instead of United States, and United States treasuries. They're buying gold. And so they're hedging their bets that if the US does go into a decline, they're going, that's better for me because gold and silver goes up in price. So that's the whole point. We know there's going to be a decline. The whole world knows there's going to be a decline. You guys been knowing it for 3 years. You're ahead of schedule. We're counting down right now, 11 months and 2.5 weeks. You better have your 775 credit score. And people who may be new here may be going, why does he keep saying this? Because I need you to understand. You need that 0% for 36 months credit card. That's what you need. Because if you have no way of getting out of real debt, then at least get yourself into where you're almost paying 97 to 98% of what you owe instead of paying 40 to 60% of what you owe every month, because you're going to do minimum payments. Why? So again, you can get out and have disposable income to use to buy actual assets and at least have choices. Like I said, Some people, everybody has their own way of investing and investing their money. Not everybody does the same. It depends on how much money you have available. All right. But yeah, again, but here's the interesting thing about this gold silver thing. If the stock market all of a sudden lost, let's say, 500 points across the S&P 500, Dow Jones, and NASDAQ, right? Even the Russell 2000. All of a sudden, there's a meltdown. And then let's say there's a recessionary where not only did it drop 1,000, but then it dropped 500, then it dropped 200, and now it's in a downward trend. Maybe it's only dropping 10 points a day, but there's a downward trend. You know what goes up? Gold, silver, and precious metals. So again, it all depends on what cycle you're in to take advantage. And that's why you need to take advantage during all cycles. I believe everybody doesn't do that, but I believe you should not put yourself in one basket or two baskets or three. You should be open to investments all across the board, is what I'm trying to say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, buy assets while there's blood in the streets. Post-retirement travel, he backed up the truck today and said, let me get some more. He's eating, right? He's saying, let me get some more of this stuff. He has disposable income. He says, let me get some more. That is the kicker. That's what you need. But even treasury bills perform better in a 30-year period. It's not perform. You're not getting it. There's no performance for gold, silver, precious metals. You're only doing it as store of wealth in case SHIT hits the fan. That's what this is all based on. Gold, silver is based on if there's a crumble of the market, like Venezuela, for instance. Like I said before, Venezuela is unique. They're the latest ones that had a situation where their economy collapsed. Their government did what every government does when it collapsed. Give me your gold, give me your silver. And we're not helping you. We'll give you some of this fake paper money. So people are like, okay, they're trapped. They might have done it. Most people kept it. And now they have hyperinflation, which now causes a problem. But the gold and silver people, they could go to another country. And yes, Colombia was jacking people, not giving them the true value. They were taking, 30%, 40% off of that. But hey, that's what it is. People take advantage when there's disasters. But the point is, if they weren't taking advantage and they were trying to do the right thing, then those people holding the gold and silver, they didn't go down to 1,000. What was it? 2,000, 1,500 to 1. You see, that's the thing. They go across and they're like, oh my. So the 1,500 to 1 of their currency, they get gold and silver prices. You understand? So meanwhile, the rest of the guys are standing in the food lines and a loaf of bread's like $500, right? But these guys, they have the value of the gold at yesterday's price, today's price in gold, which now their dollars are totally different. Now they go in there, and I can't do the conversion because I don't remember what it was. But the fact of the matter is, that is why you hold those. Because if your currency's no good, then what? Which is where the United States is going. So even if you held stocks, for instance, if the currency goes like 1932 and people are kicking it down the street, wrapping it up in bundles, worthless, and they're screwed because the bank is closed. We've already been down this path. The bank is closed, can't get your money out, which now, but your money's worth, I don't know the conversion, but let's just call it 10 to 1. Your money's worth 10 to 1 less. So now all of a sudden, you're sitting there with no money, no way to get money, but you have gold and silver. That's what this is about. All currency goes to zero. People are preparing for the US dollar to go obsolete. And by doing that, those people who bought it $3 30 years ago or 20 years ago, 25 to 30 years ago, And for silver, they're rejoicing because they just go, see, we told you so. Well, they're correct. It's over time. And now our time is almost near, especially with what's happening in the world where we don't have allies like we used to. This is causing a serious problem. People are bailing. They're saying, forget that. We're going to buy no treasuries, no stocks, but not everybody does that. But you have enough withdrawals, and that affects the United States economy because now you don't have people dumping in trillions of dollars into our economy on paper. It's actually real investment money, but they get in return a promise. 4.1% annually is one promise if you buy treasuries. You buy the stock, it's going to appreciate in price. So basically, they got nothing in return but a promise. If the stock goes down, they lose. But the winners are the people who cash their shares of stock at the higher price. And if the economy does a meltdown, all of a sudden all those shares are worthless. But you know what's not going to be worthless? Gold, silver, precious metals. They're going to hold their value and, in fact, increase in value. So there's a fine line. And that's why people actually hold gold, stocks, and variations within the stocks market, and then have a duffel bag of cash and a few other things. You know, art, for instance. I mean, there's so many different assets that you can buy. It'll be interesting. People bought treasury bills before the US dollar was the world currency. Exactly. Yeah, well, bonds. Yeah, you can buy bonds from any country in the world right now. Like DR, I think their bonds are what, 80 cents or something? I don't know what they would give you in return, but they were like 70 some cents last year. Just like a friend of mine, Larimar City, they're selling bonds in Panama. Now, that, it is what it is, but they're selling bonds. Bonds is thin air. You're promising people we're going to give you a percentage of return, just like a bank account. But why would you take why would you take 4%? This is the weirdest thing to me, right? If you're an ordinary citizen, why are you going to take 4% when I can just go to JP Morgan, JEPI, JEPQ and get double that or triple? But if you're wealthy, 4.1% is great. If you're a company, if you're Qatar, if you're Saudi Arabia, and you have wealth funds, and you say, oh man, we're going to spend $600 billion, then it makes sense for 4%, right? Interest every month, or not every month, but 4% annually and interest every month. You're like, because that's a lot of money when you have billions of dollars. All right. So, again, there's different reasons for doing it. And this is why everybody has bonds, every country. They have bonds because that's the way you can print money. That's why all currency goes to zero. This is not rocket science. This is very simple. It's a linear line. Every country sells bonds. That allows them to print money and F up their currency. It's just that United States has world currency. All the rest of the countries do not. So their currency stands alone, and then the United States dictates to them, oh man, you guys you have deficit over there. You have a deficit, so your currency is 20 to 1. DR, your currency is 60 to 1. I mean, Mexico, your currency, what is their currency? I don't even know right now. I haven't even been to Mexico in a minute. But whatever it is, 17 to 1, I think. Is that what it is? I think it is. Something like that. Maybe more. But they're the ones dictating everybody else. Whereas if US did not have world currency, believe me, we don't know what that would be. It's 38, no, it's over 40 trillion now because of the big, beautiful bill. But they'll calculate it going, okay, they owe $40 trillion. They're printing money. How much is in circulation? I don't know the criteria on how they figure that out, but I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be 1 to 1 or 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. I'm pretty sure it could be something like 10 to 1. So again, US is different. They're the rulers of the world right now. They're the rulers of the world. Yes, because of liquidity. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. No state taxes in a down market. You got a lot of cash to spend for cheap assets. You got that right if you live in a no state tax zone. I don't know what's going to happen. Here we go. Alfa Romeo, 90s were good for stocks, unlike the 70s. That is correct. 70s had high inflation. That is correct. Since 2000, gold has outpaced stocks, even though they have mined more of it. Okay. You know what? Hold on a second. Let me go look at something. 2000 to present. What is gold's return rate? Well, what was gold in 2000? Was it like 300 or 400 bucks? 1,000? It's 1,000%. 2000 to late 2025 is exceeding 1,000%. Interesting. Over total return over 1,000%. I can guarantee you Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Amazon, all these guys, because they were in single digits in the 2000s and they're now in the hundreds. So they obviously, well, let's just go look. I'll use Apple, for instance, which, okay, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're new here, what if I told you, in case you don't know the story, lots of you do, what if I told you that Apple was going to go out of business in the late 90s? They were toast. 30%. I mean, sorry, 30,000%. Like I said, because their stock prices were single digits, $4, $3, $7. And now they're 200 and split 3 times over this point. So yeah, it's going to outpace gold for sure. And that's why you have to invest in the stock market and with the big boys. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Let me see. I'm just going to ask the question, you guys. Come on. Financial literacy does matter. First of all, can anybody name who bailed out? Oh, I forgot. People can Google. But anyhow, who bailed out Apple? Does anybody know who bailed out Apple in the mid 90s when they were about to go bye-bye? The competitors at the time, Microsoft, Yahoo, Netgears, I'm trying to think. Oracle, no, Compaq, Hewlett Packard, all in the same type of place, right? Put in the chat room if you know, but I'm about to tell everybody anyhow. Microsoft, Bill Gates, that's right. The one that people like to blame for world destruction. Can you believe this guy gave them money as a competitor to bail them out? And his reasoning was, it does us no good if I'm the only one standing. He didn't really say it like that, but basically he says it does us no good if we don't have competition. I was like, who does this? You help your competition stay in the game. Wild stuff. And compete with you for the rest of time. But he didn't mind. And for the American public, we have Windows and then we have the Apple. I don't rock with Apple, but whatever their enclosed system. And they've pulled it off over all these years because they have fans. Apple has this cult-like following and people love it and they do whatever. And I'll just tell you, I have nothing against Apple other than, well, I have nothing against Apple, quite frankly. They've done a great job of keeping their customers happy. Microsoft has done a great job also somehow maintaining their systems and everything. So they've done a great job over all these years. I just find it interesting when, since I was into computers much more back then, soon as they said it was a closed system, I was like, forget that because they control everything. They can just shut you off anytime they want to, which is actually what happened with their iTunes type products. And you can only, they used to shut you off where you couldn't move your stuff off their platform. There was all kind of crazy. People don't probably remember that, but the point is that's why I never rocked with Apple, because they oftentimes are behind and act like something new when that new thing already was on Android. But the way they market is awesome. So it's kind of funny. They have one thing right now that they have this like, I don't, well, it doesn't really matter. I don't have Apple. Where Apple to Apple phone stuff, they can, I don't know what it is, but every phone can contact other people. But they have some stuff that's pretty cool. And then Android uses apps, so it's kind of different. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. But he's exactly right, Alfa Romeo. And again, welcome to the SSN Nation Wealthy Wednesday night live stream, if I did not say it already. MDA, yes, gold outpaced the S&P by less than 2%. Lots of love. That's easy to beat just by finding cheap penny stocks and letting them 5X. Yes, that's not the point. Again, here's the point, MDA 0214. Let's just go back to past history. 1930, 31, stock market crashes, continues to stay crashed for 10 years. You never recover. So let's say all your holdings go down 70%. That's the stocks, right? So guess what? What's going to happen? And not only does it go down 70%, 60%, you have no way to do anything because it's not recovering. It's not doing what it's doing today. Next year. You can't wait around a few years. You go to the bank says, what money? You don't have money. You say, I got gold and silver. The gold and silver guy, you go down there and they say, government wants to confiscate it. You see a problem. Your stocks are worthless at that point, which is what happened before, right? So only the wealthy is going to survive. Everybody else, like I said, is in the streets, soup kitchens, no food, no grocery stores, no nothing happening. But anybody who's holding gold and silver, they can use that to move around the world. So that's why people started melting it down, because the United States was trying to confiscate it. So they started melting it down. And that's where the jewelry thing about putting in the jewelry. So then when you get on the plane or on the boat or whatever, you have it instead of bars or, any other coins and all that stuff. So that's how this all goes down. So when things hit the fan, and it will hit the fan eventually, this is inevitable. It's not sustainable. It never was, because the U.S. had a chance to switch things around and actually do well, forget about it, because what's his name? If you start doing Nixon, the key components is Nixon, Reagan, and now Trump. Those are the key components on when our monetary system changed entirely. Those are the three triggers. Two triggers already happened. Three triggers was when we get in tariff wars with the world, and now the world sides with themselves. And they start actually doing trades like they did before America was born 400 years ago, 500 years ago. So now they feel comfortable, because after the first 4-year term, they started already doing manufacturing with our allies. And now our allies buy from them instead of United States corporations. So that's why we have so many layoffs every year. And now our manufacturing jobs are down in 2025. So this is a system. So that system was not necessary, because we already had trade agreements in place that was working for everybody. And now we have less revenues coming in. So that again means we have to print more money, which now causes more inflation. It's just a cycle that's not going to change. So this is why it matters what you're holding if the stock market goes bye-bye. Okay, here we go. Alfa Romeo, he's got some numbers. I wish I got it blocked. I believe the Dow is roughly 4x gold since the 1920s, but there was only 30,000 tons of gold then and 200,000 tons now. Dow is also overpriced, and gold needs to go higher. If dollar gets back to get dollar won't be backed. Won't happen. What it won't happen, because here's where the problem comes in. The reason why Nixon got us off the gold standard is so they didn't have to rely on having the gold. So that ship has sailed. So our dollar's backed by nothing. So now when there's a collapse, since our dollar's backed by nothing, it's paper money. It's worthless. It's just like 1930 again. Kicking stacks of it in the street. Kids don't care. They're playing with it, lighting it on fire, putting it in there, and they make sure you got heat. This is what we're dealing with. Oh, Alfa Romeo, congrats. I love it, man. If you've done the numbers on that, I never have, from 1920, 1930s, let's say, whatever the Dow was till now. I don't know what that would be, but that's very, very interesting. And then if you go back to you know what? We'll just do it right now since we're talking about it, because you need assets, ladies and gentlemen. And gold and silver precious metals are an asset class, just like paintings are an asset class. Classic cars, asset, trading cards. There's lots of things. 1920s stock market, Dow, Black Tuesday, October 29th, 1929. MDA, listen, losing nearly 90% of its value by 1932, ushering in the Great Depression. So can you imagine Black Tuesday comes and you have, I don't know what the number was, but let's just say a 50% decline on your stock. And imagine you sit there and go, well, I'm going to buy some more, but now your currency is worthless. And your government's going, give us your gold, silver. And oh, by the way, the money that's in the bank, we're keeping it. We got a bank holiday. You don't, now you're going to be sitting there going, well, wait a minute. The people that had gold and silver, they're sitting there like, no problems. Until the government said, we need it. You got to be patriotic and give it to us. Then there was problems. But the fact of the matter is, the gold kept its value. So that's why the United States needed it, just like Venezuela needed it too. Just like all countries go to that, be patriotic, give us your gold, or we'll confiscate it. Same rules, because gold holds its value and it increases during times of turmoil. All right. So again, that's the short synopsis of it. Best I can do in less than 3 minutes. All right. Gold needs to go higher. Yeah, gold is going to go higher. It's not performance based, man. Again, you're not hearing me. 1929, it's already happened. All right. If you have it's happened 1989, Black Friday, Black Mondays. It's happened already. If the stock market drops 50%, 60%, do you know people killed themselves, jumped out of windows? It's over for them, right? It wasn't, but that's what they did. Margin calls, everybody's red. Margin calls are coming. You have no money. Trading places, Mortimer and that other guy, right? When Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, and they were doing their orange juice thing. Again, that's what happens. All gone. Margin called up, and now you got problems. Remember all these people that have assets under management and they get loans? The people that's supposed to get paid, they're screwed. The assets under management are worth nothing. They're screwed. Yeah, people kill themselves over this. So now you understand the person that has the gold and silver, they just look up and be like, oh, gold's $4,600 an ounce. Oh, wait a minute, it's 6,000 an ounce. Oh, wait, it's 7,000 an ounce now. That's when that comes in handy. Again, America manipulates its system. That's why it hasn't happened again. There's only been like the Great Recession, which was another one that did happen. But because our Federal Reserve is more robust than it was back then, they have already had enough money they can print and give to make sure these companies, some of them did not fail. When in fact, we should have had a meltdown if it was real like it was supposed to be. So there's an extension from 2007, 8, and 9. That's why you have to have a diversification of assets, not just one. Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold, silver, and other precious metals, stocks, even bonds for some people, right? All those are needed. Real estate, if you can get in the commercial, like Airbnb, of course, is a side kind of like commercial, but you have to be able to get rental money. But again, if you have a meltdown in your economy, nobody's paying the rental. You're going to have to evict them. And then what if there's a mass exodus, like it's 1929 again, 1930, 31 again? All of a sudden, people can't afford to live anywhere. So now what? So even that goes by the wayside. But you still need it in this day and age because you need passive income coming in, right? All right, enough. I can't keep going on and on about it. Yeah, I know. I know. We can do the numbers. It makes sense to have stocks, yes, because we have a Federal Reserve that's built on the top 10% making money from the stock market. That's how it works. Since 1971, S&P went from 93, good God, to 6,900, 73x. Gold went from 20 to 4,600, 222x. Just be ready for the next big print. But I'm not saying to sell all your stock to buy gold. Me neither. No. You can't do that. They're going to hype up the stock market's going to be hyped. If there's ever a fall off, the Federal Reserve's job and the government's job is to make sure their winners win. Do you guys understand? Let me do something else before we start getting off the stock bandwagon. I'm going to put this in. You guys can do the same thing. You can Google this. How many stocks on the S&P? Oh, no. What percentage? Let's do it that way. What percentage of stocks on the S&P 500 are winners in 2025? All right. Stock market's doing all-time record highs, right? Right? Okay. Just saying, all indexes, but I put in S&P. 63.8% of stocks on the S&P 500 were winners in 2025. They posted positive gains. A total of 319 out of the 500 S&P 500 members posted positive gains. All right. 63%. So NASDAQ. Let's go see what NASDAQ was. So you got 37% L's. Oh, a stronger year. There was. Wait, what is this? Okay, they don't say for NASDAQ. That's interesting. They don't want to give that up easily. Okay, well, I'm not going to mess with you then. Let's go see the Dow Jones. All records, but 76%, 23 out of the 30 component stocks recording a positive return for the year. The index as a whole gained around 13% to 14.9%. And again, they start listing who they are. Goldman Sachs. By the way, Goldman Sachs Fifth Avenue, a department store, talking about filing bankruptcy. You guys understand? You see what the slow roll, the big snowball is rolling down the hill? It's coming. More jobs gone. Somebody's holding the bag on those loans. Not going to get paid. Going to be in bankruptcy. Wow. Okay. Enough asset talk, ladies and gentlemen. You have to get in the game. Okay. Lots of love. You do know there were a lot of stocks that performed well during the Great Depression. Some even paid dividends like Coca. Okay. Come on now. I don't know about that. Again, it's the stock market. There's always going to be some winners, man. Not everybody's going to lose. No, wait. First of all, Coca-Cola. Do you know how many Coca-Colas they sold in the first year? Can anybody guess? It's less than 20, I think. Let me go look. I'm just, this may not be 20, but all I'm saying is they didn't sell much. And by the way, don't even talk about Coca-Cola. That's not even a cool Coca-Cola. Sold in the first year. Let's go. I'll give you the real number. All right. It was sold as a fountain. Didn't sell bottled drinks in their first year. Oh, wait. They were out in 1886. I didn't know that. They sold 25. Oh, wait. It's a lie. It says it's false. 25 bottles its first year is false. Okay, that's the false narrative I had. Claims of they won't say how many though. They won't say. It's today. It says okay. They say they did two, but it does not matter. All right, Coca-Cola is a whole new animal. That's a different animal. Let me explain. They're selling Coca-Cola in 1886. The one ingredient that you need to understand is that was in Coca-Cola. That's right. Can you imagine our government allowed cocaine in Coca-Cola drink? So you don't think people are fiending for those Coca-Cola bottles? Come on. And it was sold out of a pharmacy. Most people don't remember. They had the fountain drinks, selling it in the fountain drinks, which was cool actually. And then they came in bottles and they allowed it cocaine, thus the Coca-Cola, in the drink. Does anybody know what happens when you get cocaine in your system? And then you get another one the next day, and then wondering why you want to get another Coca-Cola the next day? Yeah. Building in your customer supply. That was serious. That was effed up. That was effed up, really. Yes, we understand. We have isolated incidents. This has nothing to do with it. People who bought stocks, you win. People who buy gold and silver, you win. People who buy bonds for 4% a year, they win. Either way, people win. That's the point. You have to have assets, is the point. I'm saying don't hold more than 2% of gold. It's not worth it. That's your opinion. I don't know how much you should hold, but I know you should hold a little bit of it. I agree with a little bit of gold and silver. I don't suggest, like Alfa Romeo said, nobody's going to be sitting here going, well, we're going to sell our stock portfolio and go buy all gold. Nobody's going to do that. That's crazy. Gold doesn't generate any revenue, no dividends, no nothing. You have to sit there and wait for the rise. The rise is inevitable. It's going to keep rising, but it's only based on inflation, the true inflation number. It's not based on a company that sells products and they made a X amount of profit. It's not based on none of that thin air stuff. All right, let's go. Have you seen the graph of 500 billion losses each quarter for banks after the interest rate spiked? I don't understand why they aren't all bankrupt yet for all the 2 to 3% home loans. Alfa Romeo, you seem you're very, very smart. If you were here, you do understand overnight repos to make sure the liquidity by the Federal Reserve. See, the Federal Reserve, that's their job. They should be broke. They already should have been gone. But because our system won't allow them to fail, because if they fail, guess what? The rest of the world goes, oh, Our money's over there in their banks, and we put a bank over there because they said we can only be in their system if we put a bank in New York or LA or wherever. They got our gold too, or whatever else they got of assets. Oh no. So that is why Bernanke and all those guys in 2007 and 8 marched over to, you know, Bush and said, "Hey, dude, if we don't save these guys, it's over for USA. So we better print up a whole lot of money to save these dudes, these assholes." So anyhow, that's how come, man, because they're printing money over hand over fist, just like the $200 billion manipulation for the mortgage-backed securities and buying those bond using 200 billion to buy those so that they can reduce the interest rate for housing. Because all we do in America, capitalist system is based on debt. It's based on creating a bubble so those who have money get to have advantages over everybody else because the people who can't buy assets, they get steamrolled because you get to prop up the price faster, not by doing it ordinarily. It's not a supply and demand thing. They don't use supply and demand. They're propping it up. Everything. So that's why they're not out, man. They're right this minute. Look, right now, overnight, they're lending the Federal Reserve and JP Morgan and all these banks, they have their system. They have to make sure they have liquidity. This is what happened in 2007 and 8. Liquidity dried up. There's nothing they can do. So that's why they had to go to the to the president and say it's over, man, if you don't bail us out. The banks would have failed. The biggest banks would have failed, which means the regional banks fail because they can't get any money. So people, it would have been 1930, 29, 30 all over again. People would have went to the bank and the bank would have said, "Hey, we don't have the money here. Go away." And you guys know what would have been the rest of history. It wouldn't have been like 1929, 30. People have way more weapons now. People are more crazier now. They wouldn't have. There would be a situation at this point. So they were. That's how it got saved. It's simple. That's why the Federal Reserve exists. That's why they have a trading desk at the stock market. They're buying assets with free money. That's what's so sick about this. They're buying stocks. They print money. They're able to dole out money. They're able to buy corporations. They can do whatever they want, which is a problem. And since they can do whatever they want and they're rich people, started by the likes of Carnegie and a few of their friends, Mellon and all these guys, they're the ones that bailed out America. That's why the Federal Reserve, which is not anything federal, exists. You guys know the history. Once you understand history, then you understand this. This is why this question right here, most people have. They're like, I don't understand how this is happening. It's because our system is printing money. And then they give loans, intermediary loans with regional banks, the big boy banks, and everybody else. They get a piece. So, like this, let's do it this way. Overnight repos, right? Let's go let's go January 2026 amount of overnight repos uh, in the USA with banks. Let's see if it comes up. Let's see. Let's see if they give a number. There we go. It says the overnight reverse repurchase agreements, Treasury securities sold by the Fed plummeted to 3.223 billion. All right. Guess what it was? 6 billion is what it was. So here you go. The broader secure overnight financing rate, SOFR, market saw daily volumes of approximately, you're not going to like this, Americans, 3.2 trillion to 3.4 trillion during the first week of January 2026. Trillions, ladies and gentlemen. This is how they are doing the system behind our backs. And when you go to the bank and you go, I need $25,000. They go, oh, no, son. Sorry, sir. Madam, ma'am, come back another day. We're not liquid like this. Trillions. This is how they keep the system liquid because the banks don't hold anything. That's one problem. And then you have loans is another problem. Again, they created derivatives. So this is why exactly what Alfa Romeo's talking about. This is what the deal is. They should be bankrupt, but they're special, right? They're protected by the government. But again, if Bank of America, Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan's in a pretty good state, by the way. I just got to say that. But if all of a sudden these guys had to do what banks were really supposed to do and operate, it would be over. And if the Federal Reserve said, "No, you guys, you're on your own," it would have been over long before 2007, 8, 9. It would have been over in the late 80s after Reagan's BS. It would have been over in the 70s after taking us off of the gold currency backing or the gold backing for our currency. It would have been over 1930s because the Federal Reserve had to bail out U.S. or actually it wasn't the rich guys bailed out the United States. The rich guys, the wealthiest people. If it wasn't for those guys, U.S. wouldn't even be here. Those events right there, any one of those, if people wouldn't have stepped up and did anything, it would have been over. Somebody else would be world currency right now, and we would probably be 40-1 currency. And then MDA 0214 wouldn't be talking this crazy stuff because the stock market would have been bye-bye. And people wouldn't be investing, other countries wouldn't be investing in the United States. You'd be treated like, what, the UK, Spain, France, same type of Canada. Just like that, you wouldn't have the largest stock market on the world, and you wouldn't have these large companies being able to print money out of thin air, and you wouldn't have oligarchs doing all this crazy. Things would be totally different. And maybe adhere to the Constitution, maybe. But anyhow, that's the reason why they're not bankrupt, man. The Federal Reserve is sitting there sending them money as we speak to make sure they're liquid. Just saying. That's how it works. That's how it works. Procter and Gamble did well during that time as well. Yes, Procter and Gamble, and the how it works in any cycle where there's a downturn and people have to start saving money. The necessities, Procter and Gamble. That's why General Mills, Procter and Gamble, those, like you mentioned, I see it. That's why they do well. The people who are in the luxury categories, the categories that people have to spend money on, they don't do well. That's how it works. That's standard issue in any downturn of an economy. The meat and potatoes, the people that need the wares in their home. That's basically what it is. Procter and Gamble is like that. That's why they're going to be around forever. Okay, that's why. You got it exactly right. That's exactly what happens. But I don't know what you mean by well, because I haven't never studied way back when what they did. But the rule is, whenever there's a downturn, the the things that cost reasonable that most people can buy, that's who's still going to be around. This is why the bailouts are for everything else, like the insurance companies last cycle, Great Recession. Remember that? The insurance companies should have went bye-bye too, like AIG. They should have been gone, but they saved them. Lehman Brothers, they didn't save. Guess they didn't like them guys. I still don't know what that was about. But they said somebody's got to be the sacrificial lambs. So Lehman Brothers, bye-bye. Somebody else, you guys better merge. So that's how it went down. They made the agreement. But they all should have went bye-bye. Whoever could stand. I mean, I'm sure somebody could have been left standing, but it was artificially induced by bailing them out, just like the car companies. Just like the car companies in the 1970s. Those guys were still building big-ass cars, gas guzzlers during a gas crisis. Meanwhile, Toyota and Honda, Nissan, which was Datsun, all them dudes are building 3-cylinder, 4-cylinder cars that can get like 25 to 35 miles per gallon. And they cost half the price. So yeah, they get a foothold, even though America blocked them initially. But people weren't buying American cars. So they should have been gone in the 70s. But no, U.S. intervenes once again to save their ass. Just like in the Great Recession, save their ass. It must be nice to be saved when you're running your businesses based on we don't care if we fail because we're just going to get bailed out. So we might as well just make as much money as we can until we can't. That's the policy. That's not a great capitalist system, is it? You, me, and every other entrepreneur business person, we don't get to operate like, oh yeah, we can just use all the profits, use all the money, just keep doing it. And then we can just go to the government and say, hey man, can you give us a few mils? We effed it all off. We made a lot of money. We got all the assets. We got all this stuff, but now the business is going to go away. And we don't just want to go ride in the sunset because after we don't work there anymore, we can't pay for all this stuff, these liabilities. So aren't you going to help us? Come on. We gave you guys all this money for you to be elected, right? We donated over the years. See how this works? What a bad system. All right, enough. I'm not going to keep talking about it, but this is it. That's why you have to buy assets, ladies and gentlemen. 1 hour, 58 minutes, 2 hours. I'm going to end this pretty soon, but buy assets when there is blood in the streets. Speaking of blood in the streets, it's happening right now. This is why this is the best time to make sure that you're buying assets because there's going to be volatility up, down. Prices are going to go up in the stock market, going to go down. Prices are going to go up and down across the board in a lot of things. Even gold and silver is going to go within areas that it was 46.60 or something like that. Now it's 40. It went to 46.06 or something, 46.26. It dropped all the way back down to almost 4,600. And so this is volatility. If you are in the markets trading, you can take advantage of the volatility. Otherwise, you're sitting on the sideline going, okay, I got some gold, fine. But other people are like, I got some gold and I'm trying to make some profits off of the stock market trading it. So that's an opportunity for people. A big opportunity, especially when you have ups and downs like what we're going to have over the next year. This whole year is going to be ups and downs, but there's one thing for sure. The stock markets are going to make all-time record highs, regardless. And inflation is not real. The number that they're giving you is not 3, whatever it is. If it's 2.7, it's a lie. If it's 3.5, it's a lie. If it's 4.5, it's a lie. They're doing that for you to feel comfortable, knowing full well, does it really mean anything to you? Because your credit cards aren't going to be 4.5. Your mortgage won't be. Your bank won't give you 3% or 4.5% interest. So why do you even care? It's a lie. Just keep that in mind. It's a lie. So once you understand it's a lie, then you have to move with the next conscious situation going, okay, if it's a lie, what is the real number? And so if you come to a conclusion that the real number is 10%, then you can't be happy with going, oh, yeah, I got a 10% return. Okay, you can be happy. But the reality is, once you understand how much you're losing, then you start realizing, wait a minute, I have to do something else, but I definitely have to be in the stock market. I have to be, because that's almost a guaranteed 9%, 8, 9, 10% annually, which, if you believe inflation is 9% or 8% or 10 or 12, at least that's one way I can stay somewhat near the correct number. But then you have to figure out, well, where am I going to get the rest of some profits that's going to make things work? And that's where people have traditionally said, I'm going to buy a house when the rates are low. And then 3 years later or 5, I can sell it and make hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit on the resale. I'm not going to wait 30 years, because by then I've paid double. So you sell it 5, 6, 7 years in, the price went up. You take your 200, 300 or 500, whatever, and then you say, I'm going to invest in the stock market, put some aside here and there in different things. I'll buy a little bit of gold, silver. You just diversify a little bit. Like I said, some people like art. I like art. Art goes up in value silly because there's only one when you have real art pieces, right? It's limited. So values go higher, just like a limited vehicle that costs 300 grand. They only made 5. Obviously, the sky's the limit on what the value of that car is going to be in 5 years, right? Especially in an inflationary environment. So that's why you have to buy all these assets across the board. And speaking of that, some people, you know what? Let's go this way. What are asset classes? Let's go. Let me give it to you. You already know the gold, the silver, precious metals. You know stocks. You're gonna talk. So I'm gonna go with. Is this Investopedia? Let me go see. You guys know I like Investopedia. Okay, stocks obviously, bonds obviously, cash and cash equivalents, kind of. I don't really like cash equivalents because every day you hold it, you lose a little bit. But I always do say you should have a duffel bag of cash. Real estate investments and property offering potential income and appreciation, which means that you want to do it on the commercial side. So that makes sense. Commodities, gold, oil, agricultural products, often used as inflation hedges. Correct. Alternative investment, including hedge funds, private equity, and cryptocurrencies. I believe we've covered all of this over the years. This is what we've always been talking about. I don't see anything other than the T-bills and CDs. We don't really talk about none of that. I'm not interested in 2-3% holding for 2-3 years or 6 months or any damn thing, when you can sit there and get like 1% per month from dividends and have appreciation of the stock price, because inflation kicks in. So the stock price traditionally will go up. So you have a win-win based on our inflation. So again, everybody invests their own way, but I'm just saying, those are the asset classes. Let me go look even further, what we've always been talking about. So again, ladies and gentlemen, you've never been set astray. You just been set up with the time frame. So remember, 11 years, 12 months, and get your debt in order. And if you still haven't gotten your debt in order, then I highly suggest somebody can help you. Tracy.sharpe, SHARPE, at moneyladder.com. All right. So you can see her. I'll put it in the chat room. Everybody watching on mobile, if you see this in the replay and you can't see the live chat, click on the first comment and then scroll left, and a menu will come up where it says, if you want to do live chat, then you just press on the same comment section. It'll open up in the live chat. Then you can have these links that I've been dropping in the chat room. And that one is tracy.sharpe with an E at the end at moneyladder.com. Let her know you're from SSN Nation. Family sent you. Well, as soon as you say SSN Nation, she'll know immediately. You don't have to say Eric sent me, but you can say Eric sent me, and then she'll still know who it is. But either way, that's how you get your debt reduced. There's a video. The link is there for the YouTube when she came almost a year and a half ago. And she worked for another company, but she tells you how the process works. It could be 1 year to 2 years, maybe even 2.5. But at least at that time, your credit will be back in good standing So you don't have to file bankruptcy and be under that. You don't have to worry about the debt collections. You can avoid that. So you can still pay it off, pay down, but not all of it. There's a deal that they'll make. And then this way, at the end of that, you'll have good credit, and then you'll be back. Great things. Your skies is the limit. You've dealt with it. You've handled it. It's all done. Over. Now you're not going to make the same mistake twice, I hope. But hey, a lot of people recycle the same thing. So just keep all that in mind. All right. Now, one other thing. We have my Bancus card. I always got to talk about it. This is a crypto card, and it's a crypto Visa debit card. So if you are into making money using crypto and you don't want to have it going back to a regulated environment in the US, you can have it going to a Mexico City crypto Visa debit card. And they do charge 4%, which is the one little thing. But again, at least you're not under the USA regulatory body or jurisdiction. And I love that, quite frankly. That's my thing, quite frankly. Stay away from the United States if possible. So now you'll have that. So that's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. I gave you the Candlestick Bible in case people wanted to learn and the candlestick patterns. It's here in the chat room, or you can go to stopstrugglingnow.com. And at the top menu, you'll see Candlestick Trading Bible. You can click on that. It'll give you the PDF. You can download the PDF. It's 168 pages. And I might as well do the whole trading thing in case you're interested, because once you start looking at trading, then all of a sudden you get inundated. Again, I like outside the United States. So CoinX is a broker. I'll use, where's CoinX at? All right. So they're a broker outside the United States. Everybody who signs up, you can refer other people. There is a referral link, but it is what it is. And they you upload crypto to it, and you can download crypto. So when you download, you can send it to anywhere in the world. And they don't use the same, I don't know exactly, but they rotate the their wallets. So the wallet that you use is only good for like 24 hours. After that, if you don't download, then you got to. So I love that. Rotational, I love it. It's sweet. If gold gets 2%, how much do cryptos get? Lots of love. Cryptos, just so you know, it's been on average about 25% a year. That's how much they've increased. But the problem, 2025 was not an increase. So now, what is crypto? I'm sorry, Bitcoin. I'm sorry, I don't mean crypto. I mean Bitcoin. Return since, let's see, it came out in 2008 or 9. Let's say 9. All right, so I'll just say 9. Okay, percentage. I don't need that because it was under $1 in 2008 or 9. Percentage. Let's go percentage. I don't know what it is. It's something crazy because remember, it was only like 3 cents or 2 cents or something back then when it first came out. Yeah, it's 9 billion percent since 2009. They're saying October 2009, it was 0.0099 per Bitcoin. Again, I didn't do it 2007, 8, or 9. If that's the case, that means it had to be 2011, 2010, when it was either 3 cents or 33 cents. That's all I remember when I got mine. And it's locked, as is like 50 or 60% of it, because anybody that got stuff back then, the wallet, the way they didn't have wallets, it was a different system. You have your alphanumeric character, something else, and they sent it to you, and you could send it to other people. The other people had to accept it, but of course, since it was pretty much worthless, and I only bought $10 worth, just so everybody knows. But $10 at 3 cents or 33 cents because I didn't really care. I needed to upload $10 to one of the online poker rooms. And so when it's brand new, you didn't really know how to send stuff. So you had to send. So I told them I sent it. And then they said, well, we never received it. So then I still had it. And then I set it aside, the numbers and all that, because what it is, alphanumeric characters and some other instructions. So I set it aside and was like, yeah, whatever. Since it didn't work, I'm not going to even do online because they did a Black Friday for us where United States citizens can't use their credit cards or debit cards. It's blocked from being able to send money to offshore online poker rooms. So I was like, it's $10. Who cares? And what is this Bitcoin stuff anyhow, right? So who cares? This thing ain't worth nothing. Now, around $100,000 a piece, I guess, whether it's 3 cents or 33 cents, it would be something significant at this point. One of these days, maybe I'll find it, but I went through all my software. I don't have it. And we bought it on, I got it on PayPal of all places. This is how funny it was. That's how the transaction went. People holding it, that's how they did it. Then they would send you the alphanumeric character and there's something else too. I can't really remember how it was. And so it was trippy. It was trippy, but whoever thought it would be anything at that point? And can you imagine if that would have went through at the online poker rooms? Then I would have still been playing online poker and real life poker probably, and I would have had actual Bitcoin at that price, which would have been funnier. But the price would have increased over time. But it's interesting what would have happened. Who knows? But all I can say is that would have been wherever it's sitting. Well, it's still sitting on the blockchain. No way to retrieve it, as far as I know. So it's either what is that, like 30? It could be like 33 or 330. It's whatever it is. The $10, it's worth a lot. It's crazy. What are your thoughts on real estate prices now with more QE likely soon? QE is already happening, yes. Also, do you have videos on setting up foreign bank accounts and more in-depth anti-US backup plans? Yeah, no. But no, here's the thing. Whenever you leave the country, if you go to another country, you should ask, well, you can Google. But all I'm saying is whenever you leave the country, bring with you your copy of your tax returns, 2 forms of ID, so passport and driver's license or state ID, 6 months worth of bank accounts. All this you can have on your computer, PDF format, so you can print out or whatever, or send it to them. They'll print it out. Social Security card's probably good. That way you can open up a bank account. Not in all countries, but if you go outside the US, then you might want to check it out. Just saying. All right. You can't open up a foreign bank account inside the US. I've never tried that. I guess people probably can do it, but I've always done it when I'm in another country. I go to the bank and say, hey, I'm a US citizen. Can I open up an account? They either say yes or no. All right. And you have a debit card. It works the same way. ATM card with the Visa or MasterCard logo. So the thing is, while you're outside, so your money's sitting outside of US, but inside the US, you just go to the ATM machine. That's the deal with the crypto Visa debit card. Same thing with the crypto. You download it there. It's in Mexico City. And that's the Bancus card. And oh, by the way, I ordered my Bancus card. Now, here's the deal. I forgot about this. The Bancus card. I ordered it December 14th. I'm pretty sure it was. Today is January 14th. The Bancus card has not come. It took 2 to 3 weeks for my friends to get their card. Now, the only problem with this freaking December 14th date is Christmas, New Year's, Christmas, no, it's weird what would happen. So I guess I have to give a little grace. I put in on Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Bancus has their own uh, uh, Zoom calls. The link is also in the chat room. The link to download the app. Please download the app. You don't have to buy anything right then and there. Just download the app and go check it out. And then you can see how much the debit cards are, right? The plastic card with the tap is $45, including shipping. And the metal card, which does not have the tap feature, is $85, including shipping. So now it's been 1 month. But I don't know. I guess I'll have to give a little grace because we have New Year's, we have Christmas. We have 1 or 2 days off from there, and Saturdays, Sundays. So I guess I can give them 4 days, which now means it's 3 weeks. I guess I can give them 4 weeks. And now we have another, well, used to be holiday. I don't know if it's a holiday or not. So I guess I can give them 4 weeks, and uh, I'll give it another 5 days. After that, I'm gonna be like, hey, what's up? I guess I can wait till Monday over the weekend, get some mail if it doesn't come. We'll see. But nonetheless, that's it. And you use crypto. So you can download USDT, USDC. Those are cheap. That's your crypto you can download to it. And then you can be anywhere in the world that takes the Visa logo. Swipe and no name on the card. So you can't go to get bank cash advance. Can't do that because if you go to the bank, it's tracked. And they won't do the card because it doesn't have a name on the card. Is that wild? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Why would it matter? We know the answer, but why would it matter to the bank um, if there's no card, if there's nothing on the card? Because when they do it, all you have to do is give them your address and zip code. The card will work, so why do they care? It's funny how that works, right? Okay, I can't take off this message off the screen. Hold on, I'll do it this way then. How did this work? Here, I'll do it that way. Okay. Oh, yeah, see that link? go.bancus.io / and all that stuff up at the top. And then there's the password and the invite link for the Zoom call. Check it out tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go check it out, all right? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's that simple. And I thank you so much for being here. This has been a great, great discussion this evening for buying assets. Make sure you smash the like button. I love you guys very much. I appreciate your support over all these years. So let's keep it going because you have 11 months and 15 days left. But really, I always give you a runway. So the runway means we want you to have that finished, the keys finished, because at that time you need to hone your skills for anything that can make money that is going to rely on just you, not your employer, not somebody else, not your friends, not the wife, not the girlfriend, not the boyfriends, nobody. You have to figure out how you can make money on your own. One way is trading or being involved in the stock market, letting somebody else. Wealthfront can actually manage money. Okay, so you can. I'll put in Wealthfront. That'll be also down below in the description box. So let me see. Can I get a Wealthfront link? No, I guess not. Yes, I can. Okay, here we go. Set it and forget it. Let them manage it. If you have under $5,000, they have zero management fee. Just saying. That's Wealthfront. There's the link, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So if you, again, ETFs are good for this, everything. So once again, thank you, everybody. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here. And that's why I'm discussing why you need to buy assets, especially when there's blood in the streets. Do not let it go by, because the government is helping the best corporations and the stock market to succeed. It's going to go higher. All right. And they've already queued up quantitative easing to help them and your taxpayer money. All right. They get special treatment to succeed. So the rest of the world puts trillions of dollars into our economy by buying these pieces of paper. All right. Believing in these corporations to succeed. And the government makes sure they succeed. So keep that in mind. And with all that said, make sure you stay calm out here, because a lot of people under stress and duress, especially since a bunch of people are going to be laid off this month. Some more manufacturing jobs, livable wage jobs are going to be gone. All right. So just keep all of that in mind. We're talking about thousands and thousands of jobs are going to be gone that are livable wage jobs. Now, where do they work? When you're used to making $70,000 to $110,000 a year, and now all of a sudden you can't find that job, but somebody says, well, we can give you a $45,000 a year job. That's not going to be a good thing. So just make sure you understand people are out here stressed. So make sure you try to put yourself in a positive environment. All right. And stay out of trouble. It's going to be very hard because people are erratic. You never know what they're going to come with just by standing in line, minding your own business. So with all that said, keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.